sleep in his arm. A little while later, after some time, Vine did arrive at the hospital, but she was not able to properly take care of the patients. Taehyung had been observing her behavior. Taehyung, what happened, Vine? Are you okay? Hearing Taehyung's question, Vine gave a faint smile and replied, Vine, life is moving along a strange path. I don't understand anything right now. Taeyong, nothing will get better by stressing yourself out. Why until you find a solution to these problems, you won't be able to find peace. Just then, Vian's phone rang. When she looked at it, it was a call from home. On the call, mate, Miss Sir and Ma'am have passed away. Hearing the maid's words, Vian could not move from her place for a few moments. When she came to her senses, she instinctively grabbed the young's arm for support. Vian's head began to spin and her legs started to tremble. The young, what happened, Vian? Is everything okay? Vian, Mom, that's all Vian could say before she collapsed into Taehyung's arms. And when she finally regained consciousness, she came to know that 2 whole days had passed while she was unconscious. Her mother and father had passed away, and now she was crying out loud, screaming in grief. Lee instinctively pulled Vian into his chest and began gently patting her head to comfort her. Vian felt like all of this was Jungkook's doing. Her heart burned with rage. If it were up to her, she would hunt him down and shoot him on sight, but she was helpless. Lee had brought Vian back home. His uncle and aunt were taking great care of her. Vian had now stopped going to the hospital altogether. All day long, she would just stay locked in her room, holding her mom and dad's picture close to her chest, crying silently. She no longer talked to anyone, nor did she sit with anyone anymore. Just a few days later, she was suddenly informed that her wedding with Lee was to take place soon. Since her mom and dad had passed away, she only had one remaining paternal uncle left, Lee's father, and he had only one son, Lee. So naturally, the entire family property would go to Lee. That's why they wanted the marriage to happen quickly so that Vian would legally become a part of the family. Vian had strongly refused, saying she did not want to get married yet, but no one listened to her. A few days later, Vian stood on stage beside Lee, dressed in a white bridal gown. Just before she could give her final consent for the marriage, gunshots rang out. Her heart felt like it would leap out of her chest. Her mind was gripped with panic. She knew this cruel man would not stay quiet for long. He had to create chaos somehow. Vine squeezed her eyes shut tightly in fear. Lee stood frozen in place, staring at the figure in front of him and Jungkook. He stepped forward right in front of Lee, looking eyes with him without a single trace of fear. Lee, what the hell do you think of yourself? I told you once, stay 100 feet away from my fiancé. Did you not understand me, or are you just that stupid? With those words, Lee slammed his hand hard against Jungkook's chest, but Jungkook did not move, not even an inch. He stood like a rock, staring him down. Jungkook, arrest all three of them, Jungkook ordered his guards. Jungkook, there is absolutely no need for any of the guests here to panic or be afraid. No harm will come to anyone here, and I have not come to bother anyone. I'm just here to take my bride. He spoke to everyone in an extremely soft and loving tone. Vian, I will never marry you. I rather die than marry you. Before Vian could say anything more, Jungkook placed a gun to Lee's head. Jungkook, you really love this worthless man, don't you? Then Vian, if you refuse to marry me, I'll end his life right now. You have just a little time. Get yourself ready for this wedding because, like it or not, you are only going to marry me. Jungkook stood right next to Vian, smirking sarcastically. Just a little while later, Vian and Jungkook got married, while Vian's tears showed no sign of stopping. Flashback. The night before, Lee had gone to Vian's room and told her everything, that all of this was Jungkook's doing. He was the one who killed her mom and dad, and he would definitely try to get in their way too. But Lee had warned her clearly, you must not fall into his trap and don't be afraid of him. Flashback. Lee and his dad instinctively looked at each other. The property they had made such a grand plan to acquire had slipped right out of their hands because the man standing against them was far too clever. As Jungkook walked past, he leaned close to Lee's ear and said in a firm, cold tone, Jungkook, by the way, I should give you credit for your tactics, but the thing is you are still too naive for this game. You have only been part of it for about a year, whereas I have spent 20 years of my life playing it. With that, he grabbed Vine's hand and walked away from there. Vine kept struggling to free herself, trying everything, sometimes digging her nails furiously into his chest and other times hitting him with open slaps. but he silently endured it all. Jungkook seated Vine in the car and began tying her hands. Vine, what are you doing? Are you even in your senses? Jungkook, yes, I am very much in my senses. That's exactly why I am doing this. If I don't tie the hands of a wild cat like you will end up causing an accident. And I'm not ready to die just yet because I want to spend the rest of my life with you. Why? You are a murderer. You killed my mom and dad. You stole all my happiness. I hate you with everything in me. After saying that, Vian began crying loudly, shaking her head in denial. Vian, why did you do this? Why did you kill my mom and dad? What did they ever do to you? Say something. Why are not you saying anything now? You took them away from me. I will never forgive you. Jungkook, what you see is not the truth. What you have been told about me. It's all lies. Very soon the truth will come out and you will know everything. While you are a deceiver, you are just trying to prove yourself innocent with lies. But I have seen your true face now. I have never seen anyone more disgusting than you in my entire life. Because of you, my entire career is destroyed. My family has been snatched from me. The person I loved so much, you have separated me from him forever. Can you even begin to understand my pain? Jungkook kept driving silently, ignoring her words because now she would not believe anything he said right now. After waiting for a long time, Vine eventually went quiet and soon fell into a deep sleep. Jungkook glanced at her with a look full of love. That girl's pain was immense, but he truly believed that he would be the one to pull her out of it. After a short while, when Jungkook reached the house with Bayan, he took her down to the basement where a large screen was mounted on the wall. Jungkook, sit here and stay calm. You are not going to move an inch from this spot until the video finishes. He spoke to her the way one would gently instruct a child, and Vine, with innocent obedience, nodded her head and sat down. As the video began to play, with each passing second, it felt like the life was being drained from her body. The entire truth unfolded before her eyes. Jungkook had not killed her mom and dad. It was an accident. It was an accident, one that had been orchestrated by Lee in collaboration with his father. They had only one goal in mind: to seize the entire property. Flashback. Mr. Kang was not Mr. Min's real brother, he was a stepbrother, and from childhood he had harbored intense hatred and jealousy toward him. Later, when Mr. Min became highly successful, Mr. Kang pretended to mend their relationship, only to gain access to his wealth. That's why he had arranged the engagement between his son Lee and Wyan. And then he forcibly sent Lee to live with them under the excuse of understanding office matters, getting closer to the business. Lee was a cunning man. Every step he took was calculated, deliberate. And during that time, Jungkook entered Wyan's life, which unexpectedly became another opportunity for Lee. Every wrong action Lee committed, he pinned it all on Jungkook. That night too, it was Lee who had orchestrated the firing on himself, just to plant suspicion in Wyan's heart against Jungkook. And when Wyan's parents met with the accident, she had easily believed that it was all done by Jungkook. Flashback end. But after watching the recordings playing out in front of her eyes, her thoughts began to change. She could not believe it. The one she trusted the most was the one who had betrayed her all along. Vine was completely shattered in that moment. Without thinking, she collapsed into Jungkook's chest and began to cry uncontrollably. No matter what he was, he had been her protector. If Jungkook had forcibly married her and taken her away from there, who knows what those people might have done to her afterward? Jungkook, Wyan, my love, I know your pain is immense and it will take you time to recover from all this. Take as much time as you need. I'll never force you for anything. I have loved you deeply and I respect you just as much. Every decision you make will always be worthy of my respect. Why? How can I trust you? You could betray me just like Lee did. Hearing this, Jungkook gave a faint, bittersweet smile. Jungkook, your doubt is completely valid, Ryan, and I'm sure very soon I'll erase that doubt from your heart. Jungkook, and I believe in my love even more. It take you some time to heal. I know this journey is difficult, but it's not impossible. And through every step of it, I'll be right beside you. While my heart won't be at peace until Lee is punished. Jungkook, my love, just give the order. Your love is ready to fulfill it. We have all the evidence we need. We just have to hand it over to the police. After that, Lee could be sentenced to life imprisonment or even the death penalty. While I want him and his father both to be sentenced to death. Jungkook, as you command, my love, even this order of yours in above all for me. I'll take to the lawyer about it and personally request the judge to give special attention to our case. He stood before her like an obedient servant, bowing his head in respect, ready to act on her every word, and despite all the pain and tension, Ryan could not help but smile at his sincerity. The next day news channel were flashing the headline, The city's most prominent businessman was killed in a planned conspiracy orchestrated by his own nephew. Headlines. So, ladies and gentlemen, here's a shocking news update. A nephew has murdered his own uncle over property. Within just a few days, Lee's case reached the court. Both Lee and his father were sentenced to life imprisonment. Jungkook explained to Vine that his punishment is extremely painful because in it a person has to spend their entire life in isolation without any comfort, and for the rest of their life they are trapped in a circle of regret. They don't even get a single moment of peace. As for the death penalty, that would be an easy punishment for someone like him, whereas a person like that deserves a punishment that keeps him in suffering for a lifetime. Jungkook was not wrong. Everything he said was absolutely right. A few days later, Wyan went with Jungkook to visit Lee, and there she openly expressed her hatred toward him. Wyan, I'm glad your true face was revealed to me. If I had ended up marrying you, I would have taken my own life. Lee looked visibly ashamed at that moment because now he knew his entire life was going to be spent like this. At Jungkook's mansion, Wyan walked into Jungkook's grand mansion with him. As soon as they entered, all the guards lined up in a row, bowing their heads respectfully at the sight of her. Guards, welcome, ma'am. All the guards welcomed her in unison, which made her look at Jungkook in surprise. Jungkook, I'm their boss, and you are their lady boss. Wyan, I don't like all this. With her hair flowing in her wind, Wyan began walking inside, then suddenly stopped and said, Wyan, I don't want anyone to bother me once I'm in the room. I just want to rest. I'm really tired. Jungkook, as you command, my queen. You only need to give the order. It's our duty to obey your every word. Jungkook said this dramatically, placing a hand on his chest, which made Wyan hide her smile as she walked into the room. That night she slept peacefully because the killers of her parents had finally been punished. The next morning, she was awakened by the sound of commotion. When she looked out the window, she saw Jungkook about to punish a guard. Immediately, Vine rushed out of her room and ran toward Jungkook and the guards. She stepped right between them. Vine, he made a small mistake. Does not mean you have the right to hurt him, and you go from here. She told the guard to leave, then turned to Jungkook, looking eyes with him, and said, While I don't like this kind of behavior from you, it's better if you correct yourself. For the first time in his life, someone had dared to utter Jungkook around, and he stood there in disbelief, staring at Vine's face. He had never imagined she would interfere in his affairs like this, but now he was helpless because he was in love with her. Jungkook, my love, I feel like you are going to put an end to me very soon. Ryan, yes, you are absolutely right. That's exactly what I'm planning to do because I don't want my husband to become some big gangster that people fear. I want people to respect my husband. She fixed his collar lovingly as she spoke. Ryan, and I want my husband to become a very successful businessman. Jungkook, I'm already a businessman. He straightened his collar again while saying this, and Wine gave him a glare in playful announce. Jungkook, okay, if I leave all this work behind, what will I get in return? Jungkook pulls Wine by the waist, drawing her close, leans in slightly, and asks softly, Jungkook, tell me, if I give all this up, what will you give me in return? While you already have me, what more do you need? Are not I enough for you? Jungkook, you are with me, my love, but you are not close enough. I want to make you a part of my soul. And for that, I need your. Jungkook does not finish his sentence. He simply gives a dash suggestive gesture. Vine, blushing and flustered, hits him on the shoulder and quickly moves away from him. Jungkook, by the way, I noticed you started acting a bit too bossy with me. But let me make one thing clear. I'm not scared of you at all. But when Vian narrows her eyes and gives him a sharp glare, he instantly becomes frustrated. Jungkook, okay fine, maybe I'm a little scared, but that does not mean you get to scare me all the time now. Hearing that, Vian burst into laughter, a genuine bright laugh, and to Jungkook, she looked absolutely beautiful. Jungkook, just keep laughing like that. You look really pretty when you do. Before Jungkook could move closer to Vian again, she quickly stepped back. Vian, please don't try to get close to me right now. I'm not mentally prepared for this relationship yet. Please. Saying this, she turned and went back to her room. All day long, Vine kept herself busy following the servants around. She did not allow anyone to sit idle or waste time. One day when Jungkook came home, a servant began to speak. Servant, sir, ever since ma'am came here. Before the servant could finish his sentence, Jungkook raised his hand to stop him. Jungkook, just do whatever madam says and do it quietly. Servant, but sir, she keeps making us clean the same corner over and over again. Jungkook, that's exactly what you are getting paid for. Servant, yes sir. The servant muttered with a sulky face and walked away, knowing well that the boss would not listen to them anymore. because he himself had started dancing to his wife's command now. When Jungkook entered the room, the sight in front of him filled him with a pleasant surprise. Vine had arranged all her belongings in his room and was now sitting in front of the mirror doing her hair. Jungkook walked up behind her quietly and stood there. Jungkook, may I ask what's the reason behind this kindness? Vine, this is not kindness. It's my right to live with my husband in his room within the warmth of his arms. Jungkook grabs her by the arm and gently helps her up from the chair, turning her to face him, then pulling the shy Vine close by the waist. He leans in toward her lips. After a while, Jungkook lifts Vine gently in his arm and laying her down on the bed. Then he turns off the room lights, leans over her and places a soft kiss on her forehead. Vine closes her eyes peacefully. Seeing her eyes closed, Jungkook places another kiss over her eyelids and softly says, Jungkook, I love you so much, Vine, more than you could ever imagine. As soon as Jungkook said that, he leaned down again and kissed Vine's lips. The two remained lost in each other's love the entire night. Happy ending.